How to reinvent yourself at any age. Level B1, Intermediate. Many people secretly believe that life has a deadline, not a real deadline with a date, but a feeling. A feeling that after a certain age, you should already know who you are. You should have your career, your relationships, your habits, your confidence, and if you don't, you can feel like you missed the train. But reinvention is not only possible at any age, it is normal. In fact, humans reinvent themselves many times, even when they don't call it that. You change after a heartbreak. You change after moving to a new city. You change after a new job. You change after losing someone, or after becoming a parent, or after a health scare. Life pushes you to update yourself. The real problem is not age. The real problem is fear. Fear of starting again. Fear of looking inexperienced. Fear of wasting time. Fear of making mistakes. Fear of judgment. This text is about how to reinvent yourself in a realistic way without needing a perfect plan or a dramatic new life moment. Reinvention is usually not one big jump. It is a series of small choices that build a new identity. First, we need to be honest about why people feel stuck. Many people say, "I want to change, but I don't know what I want." Or they say, "I know what I want, but I'm not sure I can do it." Under these words, there is often one key feeling: uncertainty. The brain hates uncertainty. It wants clear answers because clear answers feel safe. But real life is not clear. You can't always know which path is best before you try it. So the brain tries to protect you by keeping you in the old life, even if the old life is painful. This is why reinvention begins not with motivation, but with permission. You need to give yourself permission to be a beginner again. Many adults avoid beginner life because beginner life feels embarrassing. When you are a beginner, you don't have skill yet. You ask stupid questions. You make obvious mistakes. You look slow. You look like you don't know what you are doing. For a child, this is normal. For an adult, it can feel humiliating. But if you accept beginner life, you open the door to change. The truth is simple. Every expert was once a beginner. Reinvention is not about becoming perfect quickly. It is about becoming willing to learn. Now let's look at the most common myth. It's too late. People say this at 25, at 35, at 45, at 60. It is a feeling, not a fact. Often, the real meaning is, "I'm afraid I will try and fail," or "I'm afraid I will try and lose comfort," or "I'm afraid I will try and people will judge me." Age becomes an excuse that protects the ego. But the real question is not, is it too late? The real question is, if I don't change, what will my life look like in 5 years? Many people avoid change to avoid short-term discomfort, but they accept long-term regret. Reinvention is choosing the opposite, a bit of discomfort now to avoid big regret later. So, how do you reinvent yourself in practice? Start with identity, not goals. Goals can be useful, but goals can also create pressure. Many people set a big goal. I will change careers. I will lose 20 kilos. I will become fluent in English. Then they feel overwhelmed and they quit. A better approach is to choose a small identity statement. A, I am a person who learns. I am a person who takes care of my body. I am a person who creates. Quote, this identity statement becomes a compass. Then you choose small actions that match it. For example, if your identity is, I am a person who learns, your action can be very small. 20 minutes a day of learning, or one lesson per week, or one small project per month. The action is not dramatic, but it is consistent. And consistency changes identity. Identity changes when you collect evidence. Every time you do the action, you give your brain evidence. I am this kind of person. Over time, the story becomes real. Another key step is to choose what to keep. Reinvention is not destroying your past, it is building on it. Many people think they need to erase their old self, like a restart. But your past skills, experiences, and relationships are part of your foundation. You can keep the good parts and change the parts that don't work. For example, maybe you have discipline from an old job. Maybe you have social skills. Maybe you have patience. Maybe you have taste and creativity. These are not lost. They can move with you into a new chapter. This is important because people often feel that reinvention means becoming someone else. It doesn't. It means becoming more yourself in a healthier direction. Now, let's talk about the emotional side. Reinvention often feels lonely at first. When you change, you leave an old version of life. You might lose some friends, or you might feel different from people around you. Even if nobody rejects you, you may feel alone because you are walking a new path. This is normal. You are in between identities. The old one is not comfortable anymore, and the new one is not strong yet. The best way to survive this in-between period is to create structure. Structure is a simple schedule, not a strict prison. It can be Monday, Wednesday, Friday I practice, or every morning I do 30 minutes, or every week I send one application. When you have structure, you don't need to rely on mood. You follow the plan even when you feel uncertain. Small structure protects you from the emotional waves of reinvention. Another important part is community. You don't need a big community. You just need a few people who support your new identity. Maybe a class, maybe an online group, maybe one friend. When you are around people who are also learning, being a beginner stops feeling embarrassing. It becomes normal. This is why adults often reinvent themselves faster when they join a course, a group, or a program. It gives them social permission. It also gives them accountability. Now let's talk about mistakes, because mistakes are guaranteed. If you want to reinvent yourself, you must accept mistakes as part of the price. Many people quit because they think mistakes mean they are not talented. But talent is not the main difference between people who change and people who stay stuck. The difference is tolerance for discomfort. People who reinvent themselves have a simple skill. They can feel uncomfortable and still continue. They can be bad at something and still show up. They can fail and still try again. This is not a personality gift. It is a practice. The next step is to make reinvention smaller. Many people think reinvention means a big public decision. I quit my job. I move to a new country. Sometimes that is necessary, but often it is too risky at first. A smarter strategy is to create a parallel life before you jump. A parallel life means you keep your current life stable while you build the new one in small steps. You keep your job, but you learn the new skill in the evening. You keep your routine, but you add a new habit. You test your new identity without burning everything down. This reduces fear. It also gives you real information. Instead of dreaming, you test, do I actually enjoy this? Can I do it every week? Is this lifestyle realistic? Testing makes reinvention real. Finally, reinvention needs patience. People want change fast because they are tired, but deep change is slower. It is like building a new body in the gym. You can't do it in 2 weeks, but you can do it in a year if you are consistent. A lot of people want reinvention, but they feel lost. They say, I don't know what I want. And because they don't know, they do nothing. They wait for clarity. They wait for motivation. They wait for a perfect idea. But clarity usually comes after action, not before. Think about it like this. You don't choose a new self from a menu. You discover a new self through small experiments. So, instead of asking, what do I want to do with my life? Ask a smaller question. What kind of life do I want to live this year? Or even, what do I want to feel more often? Calm, pride, freedom, creativity, connection, health. Once you know the feeling, you can choose actions that create it. For example, if you want to feel pride, you need something you can improve. Pride comes from progress. If you want to feel freedom, you need skills, or money, or flexibility. If you want to feel connection, you need more social time and better relationships. If you want to feel calm, you need better habits and less chaos. Reinvention starts with these feelings, because feelings are closer to your real needs than job titles. Then you move from feelings to experiments. An experiment is small and safe. It can be, take a short course, start a small project, volunteer, talk to someone who does the job, try a new routine for 2 weeks, build a simple portfolio, write a few pages, learn a tool. Train your body, practice English speaking, create content, apply for a small freelance task. Experiments are powerful because they give you real data. Your brain stops living in fantasy and starts living in reality. And reality reduces fear. Now let's talk about confidence, because many people say they can't reinvent themselves because they have no confidence. But confidence is not something you wait for. Confidence is something you build after you do small, hard things. Confidence is like a bank account. You deposit proof. Every time you do what you said you would do, you deposit proof. Even tiny actions count. If you promised yourself 15 minutes of practice and you did it, that is a deposit. If you promised yourself one application and you sent it, deposit. If you promised yourself a walk and you walked, deposit. Over time, this proof creates a new belief. I can trust myself. That belief is real confidence. Many people think confidence comes from talent or from luck, but the most stable confidence comes from self-trust. When you trust yourself, you don't need the world to approve you. You know you can handle problems. You know you can learn. This is also why consistency is more important than intensity. If you do a huge burst for 3 days and then stop for a month, Your brain learns one thing: I don't finish. But if you do a small action every day, your brain learns, I keep going. And that identity changes everything. Now we should talk about fear of judgment, because this fear becomes stronger with age. When you are young, society expects you to learn and change. When you are older, society expects you to be stable. People may ask, why are you doing this now? Or, isn't it too late? Or, they may be polite but skeptical. This can hurt. But here is a useful truth. Most people are busy thinking about themselves. They judge quickly and then forget. The fear in your head is often bigger than the real judgment outside. Also, some people will judge you because your change makes them uncomfortable. If you reinvent yourself, you remind them that they could change too, and that can create envy or resistance. So don't take every negative reaction seriously. Not every opinion deserves space in your brain. A simple strategy is to keep your reinvention quiet at first. You don't need to announce it to everyone. Build progress privately. Let results speak later. When you have a small result, a project, a skill, a new habit, people respond differently. They stop asking why and start asking how. Now let's talk about stability, because many adults have responsibilities. They have rent, family, health, and limited time. Reinvention cannot be pure chaos. You need a stable base. That's why the parallel life idea is so important. You don't have to jump immediately. You can build a new skill while staying employed. You can save money before changing jobs. You can reduce risk slowly. You can create a transition plan. A good transition plan has 3 parts: time, money, and energy. Time means you choose a realistic schedule, not a perfect schedule. If you work full-time, maybe you can do 30 minutes a day or 3 hours on weekends. Consistency matters more than big hours. Money means you keep yourself safe. If you can, create a small emergency fund. Reduce unnecessary spending, not because you should fear the world, but because financial safety gives courage. When you have a little money buffer, you can take smarter risks. Energy means you protect your health. Reinvention is hard when you are exhausted. Sleep, movement, and food become part of reinvention, not separate topics. Your brain learns better when your body is strong. Now, how does reinvention look at different ages? In your 20s, reinvention is often exploration. You try different directions. You learn what you like. The risk is often identity confusion, too many options, too much sravnania with others. The solution is to pick a direction for 6 months and commit, instead of jumping every week. In your 30s and 40s, reinvention is often correction. You may have built a career or a lifestyle, and you realize it doesn't fit. The risk is fear of losing what you built. The solution is gradual transition, parallel life, careful planning, and building skills while keeping stability. In your 50s and 60s, reinvention is often renewal. You may want a second career, or a new purpose, or a healthier body, or new social life. The risk is thinking, I'm too old to start. The solution is remembering that learning is not only for the young, Many people become better learners with age because they have patience, discipline, and clearer values. At any age, the core is the same. You become a beginner, you build small proof, and you create a system. Now let's talk about one more powerful idea. You don't need to reinvent your whole life. You can reinvent one part. Some people think reinvention must be dramatic. New job, new city, new personality. But sometimes the best reinvention is simple. Better health, better English, better relationships, better creativity, better habits, better confidence. When one part improves, the rest of life often changes too. Your energy changes, your social circle changes, your opportunities change. You don't need to burn everything to change everything. And finally, you need to accept a hard truth. Reinvention includes grief. When you change, you lose something. You lose an old identity. You lose an old comfort. You may lose old friends. You may lose an old dream that no longer fits. This can feel sad, even if the change is good. Many people don't talk about this, but it's normal. Growth often includes loss. If you accept that, you stop being surprised by the emotional waves. You understand this is part of the process. So here is the real message. You can reinvent yourself at any age because humans are not fixed. The brain can learn, habits can change, social circles can change, skills can be built. The only thing that truly blocks reinvention is the decision to stop trying. Start small, build proof, create structure, protect your stability, do experiments, stay patient, and remember, you are not behind. You are not late. You are simply at the moment where your life asks you to update yourself. And that is not failure. That is being alive.